Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today I am channeling Mr. Bruce. I love Mr. Bruce. He always wears a kimono with a hat and some dookie jewelry. I love him. So today that is who I'm channeling. There is green in here. There's green in here. And it's also bright, right? So it's giving me some bright vibes. So this morning it is snowing here. I love snowstorms though, so I'm good with that. So good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing this amazing morning? I gotta move this out my way so I can see. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let me see who's in the room. Good morning, Deltra. She is blessed this morning. Yes, yes, yes. Good morning, cousin. Cousin is blessed, and we know you blessed. Good morning, Crystal. Crystal's blessed. Miss Lois, she said good morning, and she's blessed. Good morning, Trina. She is blessed this morning. Yes, yes, yes. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Donna. They are blessed. Good morning, Venus. Good morning. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I got this from Push Classic Collections. Usually she's in here. She'll be in here some period, at some point. Oh, you cute. Thank you, cousin. Thank you. Good morning. I'm blessed, but you are trying to give me a heart attack this morning. Good morning, Sandra. It's raining here. Oh, it's supposed to snow all day, all night, and then rain somewhere like 6 o'clock. It's snowing here too. Just happy it's not all cold. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love me some snow. Oh, good morning, Betty Rose. Miss Betty Rose is in here and she is blessed. Yes, 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 yes. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing this morning? My eyebrows are giving me a little bit of something, but how are we doing this morning? How are we doing this amazing morning? Today, we are talking about consistency. Yesterday, what did we speak about? Yesterday, we spoke about intention. Today, we're talking about consistency. Today we are all about consistency because I'm going through what my keys to success are, and that's intention, consistency, and discipline. And so we are going to be going off of that today. So everybody in the building, y'all ready? Y'all ready to go? Y'all ready to go? Let me know if y'all ready to go. I got to get this off my lashes so I can see. Get it off my lashes. Don't you hate when you have that one hair you can't you know it's there, you can kind of see it out the corner of your eye, but you can never get it? That's what I got going on right now. But we're gonna work through it. Yes, we are. We're gonna work right on through it. So are y'all ready for this morning? Are you ready for this morning? Put a one in the chat. Put a one in the chat and let me know you ready. I would trade a sunny day in Florida for one of your snow days. Well, you could just come right up here, Betty Rose, and enjoy all the snow days you want. Come up here and enjoy all of them. Yes. And look at my live from yesterday and it'll tie in. Yes, yes, yes. What happened to you coming back, cousin? What happened to that? I love the midnight black. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody's ready. Yes, 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 yes. What happened to you yesterday, cousin? You were supposed to come back. So today, I don't even know if I'm going to get through every single thing because I have so many notes today. I have so many notes. So it may or may not be able to, I said I wasn't going to let it bother me, but it is. Let's try this again. Okay. I have so many notes to get through. Okay, look what I got on today, girl. Sean took her thing off, so I got to work with what she did. But I like the band around my hat. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Sorry, cousin. Yep, yep, yep. Now I remember. Oh, yeah, now I remember. Yes, that was why. That was why. Got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. How are you feeling today? Good morning. Good morning. All right, y'all. So we already know we're going to start with the affirmation. The affirmation of the month is today I am only available for my expectations to be exceeded. Miracles and abundance flows to me with ease. Thank you, babe. Today I am only available for my expectations to be exceeded. Miracles and abundance flows to me with ease. Today I am only available for my expectations to be exceeded. Miracles and abundance flows to me with ease. It was a long night, but hanging in there. I hope the meds are working so that you can just function a little bit. Well, function a lot, not function a little bit, function a lot. Good morning, Tiffany. Yes, you are blessed. Yes, yes, yes. I will holler at y'all later because they actually scheduled me to meet with real people. Okay. All right, Betty Rose. See you later. See you later. Good morning, D. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Yolanda. I'm feeling amazing and blessed. Yes, yes, yes. Good morning, Nene. Hey, Nene. I'm blessed and you look beautiful. Thank you so much, Nene. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Today we are talking about consistency. Today we are talking about consistency. Good morning, Jasmine. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Popping in for a few. All right, well, here we go. We're going to talk about consistency this morning. And you know what you do. You know what you got to do. Put I'm blessed in the chat and everybody hit that thumbs up button. Everybody in here hit the thumbs up button. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's my kimono. All right, so let's get to it. Let's get to it, shall we? I have 4 pages of notes, so I want to make sure I hit it all. If I don't, we'll be picking up on it tomorrow. But consistency, what I have for consistency. Consistency is someone who is consistent, always behaves in the same way, has the same attitudes towards people, things, or achieves the same level of success in something, right? Consistency is someone who is consistent, always behaves in the same way, has the same attitudes towards people or things, or achieves the same level in success. Now, you could be consistently good or you could be consistently bad. Good morning, Nessa. You could be consistently doing things that are going to be beneficial for your future, or you could consistently doing things that are going to hinder your future, right? And so what are those things that you are consistently doing? Right? We can consistently create bad habits that we have for ourselves that is not going to contribute to our success, right? Or we can be doing contributing to good things that's going to contribute to our success, or creating habits that are going to contribute to our success, right? We could be doing one or the other, right? And at some point we're consistent at one thing. If we're not hitting the target with success, there's somewhere in the pattern that we're not creating good habits. There's somewhere in our patterns that we are consistently repeating the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. And that is the definition of insanity, right? So how many of you guys feel like you're in a loop? You're in a loop and this loop keeps going and going and going and you never really get out of that loop. How many of you guys feel that way? Put a 1 in the chat if it's you, put a 2 if it's not. Good morning, Stasia. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Put a 1 if it's you and put a 2 if it's not. Let me see what you guys got this morning. Put it in the chat. Are you on a consistent loop? That means there's something in the pattern. There's something in your pattern that you are repeating that is not working for you, and that you need to bust out of that pattern. You need to let that go altogether and create a new way of working, create a new way of thinking, create a new way of doing, because there's something missing in this pattern that keeps on repeating itself. You are consistently doing the same thing, expecting different results, right? So that must mean now we got to try something different because we want different results. We don't want to keep on repeating the same thing to get the same results, because we ultimately want success. We ultimately want a fit body. We ultimately want a healthier living. We ultimately want a better house. We ultimately want something different, but we keep doing the same things, right? And if we're consistently doing those same things, it's something that we got to break out of, right? Because now it's something in our mindset that has to change. Yes, yes, and yes. Yes, yes, and yes. Okay, so when you're being consistent, just know you are always going to show up. You're going to show up for yourself. How? And that's something that you're going to have to decide. You're going to have to decide on, how is it that I'm going to show up? How am I showing up in this world? How am I showing up in my business? How am I showing up on my fitness journey? How am I showing up on me trying to get this new house? How am I showing up in my relationships with my spouse, in my relationship with my spouse? How am I showing up in my relationship with my family? Right? So you have to start thinking about, how are you showing up? Because you need to show up in a manner that you want to show up with the results that you want. You need to show up within the manner of the results that you want, right? So if you know that you want to live in a big home, but you got a job that's working minimum wage, you know you're not going to get that big home with the job that's working minimum wage. So now you got to change your pattern, right? So now you got to start thinking, how can I possibly get that home that I want, but I need to change my pattern of working. Either I'm gonna need to move up, I'm gonna have to give more value. I have to show them I'm valuable and I deserve a raise, or I deserve more money, or I deserve a new position, or I'm going to have to do something else where I can get the money that I need in order to get that thing that I want, right? But you're going to have to show up consistently. Your behavior patterns have to be consistent in the manner of what it is that you want to achieve. And so that is where we start having problems, right? Because we want big, lofty goals and we want big things for ourselves, but our mindset is messing that up for us. Because if we don't see that in our spirit, if we don't see it in our mindset, then how could we ever achieve it, right? It can't be, our thoughts can't be inconsistent to the things that we want. Yes, our thoughts cannot be inconsistent to the things that we want. It has to be on the same wavelength. You have to have consistent pattern thoughts, right? I want success. So in order for me to have success, I need to do A, B, and C. I want this body, and in order for me to have this body, I need to do A, B, and C, right? So it has to have some consistency. So consistency is going to be the main thing that you need in anything that you're doing in life. Anything, right? Consistency is the word. Everybody put consistency in the chat. Put consistency in the chat. And I also wrote that consistently, and I highlighted it, you guys. I highlighted it. Consistency works with discipline. It's hand in hand, right? Because you got to stick to the schedule, and you got to do it when you feel like it and when you don't. And that's what discipline is, right? You got to do it when you feel like it and when you don't. And so they go hand in hand. So that is why I did it in the order that I did it. So tomorrow or the following day, we are going to be working on discipline, but it goes hand in hand, right? You got to stick to the path, and then you have to make sure you're doing it when you feel like it and when you don't feel like it, right? And that's showing up for ourselves, period. There's times when we don't want to be that person. There are times when we don't want to be strong. There are times when we don't want to do things. There's times when we don't want to get out of bed. There's times when we don't want to show up for our business because we're tired, we're burned out. But in order for you to get in order for you to get results, and in order for you to get the results, you have to be consistent at what it is that you are working on, right? So you have to show up, because it's got to work, or it's got to work, right? There is no plan B. We're not working off of a plan B. We're working on the plan A, right? Because this has got to work. But in order for it to work, we have to work more on ourselves than we do on anything else, because that is where the work ethic comes in. That is where the consistency comes in. That is where the discipline comes in, because we are intentional about what we want to hit. And so in order to get those things, we got to do that work that is required and necessary in order for us to hit those points, right? Right? Okay, so if you are consistent with your customers can rely on you. If your customers are going to show up to see when you post, or what you're doing, or what a sale is, or when they're getting an email, if you're consistent, they know that they can rely on you. If they can't rely on you because of your inconsistent patterns of when you post, or when you speak with them, when you communicate with them, if you're inconsistent with that, then they're going to forget about you, because they don't know when you're going to show up, right? So you have to create a consistent pattern as well in how you communicate with your customers. What are you doing that is consistent in your business right now? So everybody just put in the chat, what are you doing that is consistent in your business right now? And I'll wait for you guys as you put it in the chat. What are you doing that is consistent in your business right now? And your customers can rely on you to answer their problems, right? Because they have problems. These things are bothering them. These things are keeping them awake at night. These things are, they can't move forward. You know what I'm saying? They need your thing. And you consistently show up and answer why your thing is the solution. They're going to be like, oh, wow. You say it enough, they're going to say, you know what? I need that thing. You know what? I need to be there because she's going to give me a solution to my problem. She helped me solve this problem. And now I know she's going to help me, if it flares up or if it does this or if it does that, she can help me again, right? They are going to rely on you to be consistent with solutions because you've showed up in that manner. You showed up as an expert. You showed up in your business. You showed up with your product. You showed up at these events. You showed up and they know that they can rely on you, right? So what are you doing right now in your business that is consistent? What are you doing now in your business that's consistent? Let me know right now. Are you consistently sending emails? Are you consistently posting? Are you consistently telling your customers how they can solve a problem? Are you consistently doing your launches? Are you consistently showing up with your products? Or do you have a product, you put it out, and then you like, oh, it didn't work out, and then you got to revamp and do all this other stuff, and then I'm coming out again? Like, what are you doing? What is your consistent patterns? You could say that you're not showing up. That could be a consistent pattern, right? Because you're not showing, I got to fix my thing. You're not showing up on time. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. You could say that you're not showing up consistently. That is a consistent thing, right? What are you doing in your business right now that is consistent, good or bad? Good or bad? Okay, so Stasia says she's consistently posting. Awesome. Trina says, I post at least once a day. Okay, okay. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, sweet orchid. I show up to my monthly events. Okay, what are you doing consistently? What are you doing consistently? Do you notice if you post more, you get more engagement? Do you notice if you show up more that you get more engagement? Do you notice if you send emails, you get more sales? Do you notice, like, what do you notice when you are consistent? That's the next question. But the first question, what are you doing consistently in your business? Not posting. So you're consistently not posting. Got you. Got you. And all we have to do in order to fix that is just change it. All we have to do is put it in our mind that we are going to change it. And that's absolutely it. We're going to change it and we're going to do the work required, period. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way we're going to change these things. Consistently being inconsistent. Got you. Got you. And that's the thing. That's the thing. Like I said, it could be a consistently good, it could be a consistent good thing, or it could be a consistent bad thing. It's totally on you. Just let me know what it is. But as long as you know what it is, you can work on it. Right? I show up at my markets monthly. Awesome. Awesome. So the people who come to these events know that they can count on you to be there. Right? Okay. So what are we doing, you guys? What are we doing? I'm consistently posting. Okay. Okay. And what do you notice from your consistency? If it's good or bad, what do you notice from your consistency? Are you losing customers? Are you gaining customers? Are people sharing your stuff? Are people talking about you? Do people know what's going on with you? Like, what results are you getting from your consistency? What results are you getting from your consistency? And again, good or bad? Good or bad? I'm waiting for y'all. I show up. And also, I want to know, do you notice, I have monthly and weekly events that my regular customers know to find me there. Okay. Consistently inconsistent. We need to work on these things. We need to work on these things because what are the results we're trying to achieve? What are we trying to achieve? We can't achieve them if our results are inconsistent. When I'm consistent, I do see more engagement and get more sales. Yes, yes. Okay. When you are consistent, what kind of results do you see, y'all? What kind of results do you see when you are consistent? So I wrote in my notes, if you are inconsistent, people cannot rely on you. So that means your customers are not going to rely on you. They're not going to rely on you to be the authority. They're not going to rely on you to give them their product. They're not going to rely on you to deliver. They're not going to rely on you for anything because they can't. They can't depend on you. Right? Don't you hate when you have something to do and somebody told you that they were going to take you somewhere, do something with you or whatever, and they don't show up, but they consistently do that and you're disappointed every single time? You're expecting the results to be different, but they never are. They always are the same. Right? Don't you hate when you have to rely on people like that? Like, I don't have any other choice. I know this person is always inconsistent. I know that they're always late or they always don't show up, but this is the only person around that can do this thing with me or for me, and I can't even rely on them. How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel when you have to, you waiting on somebody to do something, they don't show up for you? That's how your customers are looking at you. That is how your customers are looking at you. Good morning, Jamie. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Legit, I have repeat customers. Our emails and SMS were consistent until we got super sick towards the end of last year. Okay. Working on getting back on track. That's it. Get back on track. Get back on track. This year is mine. Okay. Let's get it. Let's go. Coming to this morning meetup is the start of my daily routine and power up. Okay. Let's get it. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's go. How many of you people hate to rely on those people that are inconsistent? Put a 1 in the chat, put a 2. If you haven't experienced that. Put a 1 if you hate relying on people who are inconsistent, and put a 2 if you don't have to worry about that. Put it in the chat right now, y'all. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. And then I'm coming back to my garden. I'm coming back to my garden because I love my garden. I love my garden. So imagine that, right? Imagine how it makes you feel when you have to depend on those people that you can't really rely on, but you got to depend on them. Your customers are feeling the same way about you, right? You want to establish that relationship and you want to nurture it and keep it. You don't want them to be like, well, I don't know if this is going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to get my order. I don't know if she's going to be in business this week, but I really love my candle. Like, you got to think about that. We don't think about the consistency of it all when we are starting a business. Yes, you're going to get burnt out. Yes, things are going to get overwhelming. Yes, there's some things that you didn't know was going to may turn up, but you still have to be consistent and show up regardless. You can't just be going through all the changes in yourself when you got customers relying on you. Yes, yes, and yes. You can't be going through all of the things while your customers are relying on you, relying on you. Because they're relying on their product. They don't care about your problems. They're worried about their problem. They don't care about your burnout. They're worried about their problems. They don't care about your overwhelm, right? They could understand if you show up and say, you know what, we got not way too many orders, but we got an abundance of orders. And so we are going to be a little slower on our processing time, but do know that we are carefully and beautifully packaging your orders and da 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 da. As long as you tell them, they'll be fine. But you can't just ghost your people. You can't just ghost your people. Some people are just like ghosting their people. Like, websites still on. You can still place orders, but they're not even filling these orders. They're not fulfilling these orders. They're not even checking their website. They're not even checking their social media. They're not even checking in. And so their customers is like, what's going on? Where you at, sis? What we doing, sis? What's going on? Right? And so you have to make sure that you are consistent in your business, because these customers are relying on you to be consistent. They are relying on, especially if you got them hooked on the product, they are relying on you to provide that product. They're relying on you to provide that service. When we are consistent in our stories, we get more website traffic. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And that means show up in the stories. Show up in your stories, right? All right. So if you're inconsistent, right? If you're inconsistent, why? Okay. All right, that's me. Okay, if you are inconsistent, the weeds will grow. I'm coming back to the garden and I'm coming back to the weeds, right? The weeds will grow. And if the weeds grow, they're going to choke out your crop. They're going to steal the nutrients. And it's just going to be a whole hot mess, right? It's going to be a whole hot mess. if the weeds get into the garden, right? And the weeds getting into the garden is you not being consistent, is you not showing up, is you talking negatively to yourself, is you saying you can't do this, is you with the imposter syndrome. Those are the weeds that are popping up, and that may be choking your business out, right? Good morning, Travis. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And so you got to make sure that you are consistently maintaining your garden. You're consistently maintaining what's going on in the garden. You need to consistently pull out these weeds. Good morning, Patricia. Good morning, good morning, good morning. You need to consistently pull out the weeds in your garden. Because if you do not, you're going to allow them to take over, and they will take over, and they will take over your mind, and they will take over your actions, and then there will be nothing for you to do, nothing for you to have, to grow, to share, to nothing, right? The garden is going to be completely devastated if you allow the weeds to take over this, the in your wonderful, beautiful soil we were talking about yesterday with your compost, right? And that wonderful, beautiful soil, the weeds thrive too. Your plant that that seed that you planted is going to thrive in there, but guess what else is going to thrive in there? The weeds. The weeds are going to be thriving in there. And if you allow the weeds to take over your garden because you are not consistent and you're not diligent and you are not out there pulling out these weeds from the roots, you are allowing them to fester and to grow and to multiply in your garden, right? So you got to start taking care of the things that you need, and that is your foundation, right? You have to take care of your foundation. You have to make sure that you have everything that you need in order for you to be consistent, right? And if you're not going to be consistent, if you know you're not going to be consistent, then don't do certain things, right? Don't have people rely on you to do certain things if you're not going to be consistent about it, right? You have to make up your mind that consistency is going to be part of your character. Consistency is going to be part of your business. Consistency is going to be part of your values, because it has to be, right? I am loving your looks. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I did not come to play for 2023. No, 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 no. Good morning, Ava. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I absolutely did not, Patricia. I absolutely did not. Right? So you have to make sure that you're tending your garden. Your garden is your mind. Your garden is your spirit. Your garden is your business. You have to make sure that you're consistently tending to your garden, right? What do I have in my notes? I said consistently weed the garden of your mind. Some weeds and some weeds are lay dormant in your garden, right? You may think you pulled everything out, and they may lay dormant in your garden, and they may not show up for maybe next year. They'll show up. Maybe the year after that, they'll show up. Maybe they'll show up 5 years later. Some things won't show up. So what are weeds that are growing in your garden that has been laying dormant in your mind, in your spirit, right? That are now showing up in your business. And what that may look like is, who do you think you are to be successful? Who do you think you are to grow and to learn and to be somewhere else and to do something else? Maybe these weeds that are lying dormant is maybe you had some trauma from your past and your childhood that you've never addressed. And now that you are starting your business, or now that you're starting a new venture, or now that you're starting a new whatever, now it's starting to rear its ugly head. How many of us have things that have been laying dormant in our spirit and in our mind that are now peeking out its ugly head into your energy? Right? How many of you guys are growing? These weeds are starting to pop up. You never even knew it was a problem until now. Now you buckle down and say, I'm doing this business. I'm doing what I need to do. I'm gonna leave this job and I'm gonna focus on my business 100%. I'm gonna do this, and the weeds start popping up. And the weeds start popping up. The self-doubt start popping up. The imposter syndrome starts popping up. The fear starts popping up. Things that you never even know that you had in your spirit are starting to pop up. You're negative. You even talking negative to yourself, right? Because who am I to be doing this, right? And the weeds are starting to pop up, right? We need to make sure that we are diligent in our garden and addressing the problems that we have that are growing in our garden. We have to address those things. We need to pull these weeds out from the roots, and we need to throw them in the garbage or throw them far away from our garden so that they don't have the chance to grow back in there. That means we have to attend to our garden and give it back the nutrients that those weeds have stolen out of the soil, right? Because the weeds are going to steal the nutrients from your thriving plants. That's what they do. That's their job. Their job is to survive, and they're going to survive at by all means. By all means, at any means necessary. By any means necessary, these weeds are going to thrive in that garden if you allow those things to grow. And we cannot allow these weeds to grow. They can't grow in our spirit. They can't grow in our business. They cannot grow in our mind. They cannot grow anywhere. They cannot grow in our relationships. We need to address them immediately. So everybody put in the chat, address the weeds. Address the weeds. Address the weeds. You have to make sure that you attend to your garden, and as soon as you see them, you start pulling them out. As soon as you see that fear starts arising, you start pulling it out. As soon as you start having those negative thoughts about yourself, you start pulling it out. Right? Because who are you to think that you are a child of God? Right? Who are you to think less of yourself? God gave you amazing gifts. God put you on this earth to do amazing things, right? So who are you to start doubting yourself when God put it in you? You again, you know how I say y'all must think God made a mistake. If God put the vision and the dream in you and you don't feel like you got what you need to fulfill it, then who are you to say that you are better than God? Right? Because God's put it in you. If God put it in you, it's on you. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you got it. It's on you. It's on you. You could do it. You could do it, but you think that you can't. And so you need to pull that down. You need to pull that weed up out of you. Because if God gave it to you, then it can't nobody mess that up. Can no man come in between you and God? Can no man come up and say, you don't got this, or who do you think you are, or you don't have what it takes, or you can't be as successful as I am? Can no man say that? Because what God got for you, God has for you, and can nobody take that away from you? Absolutely nobody. Right? And so as long as you have that, if you know that God got something on you and in you, and you got to do it, and he put it there, right? You got to pull that weed out. It may be difficult. You may have to struggle. Sometimes you pull out a weed and you can't get it all the way from the root. Sometimes you got to be strategic when you're pulling out a weed in the garden. Sometimes you can't just pull up that weed, just snatch it up out the ground. Right? You're going to have to jingle it a little bit sometimes. And you're going to have to hold on to it tight and slowly pull and jiggle and slowly pull and jiggle in order to get that weed about that garden. Because if you just snatch it right out, the roots is still in that dirt and they still have the power to grow. That self-doubt still in your body. It still has the power to grow. So in the weed, you got to make sure that you shaking that weed up. You snatching that weed up out the ground. And then when you take that weed out the ground, you don't want it in your environment. You don't want it in your thriving garden. You don't want it in your soil where you laid all your compost and all of that, your issues and everything that comes with you in that garden that's making that garden grow, right? You don't want it there. You want it far, far away from your garden, right? You want it in the garden, or you want it out of your garden, or you want it in the trash. You do not want it in your garden. So you're going to have to do some work in order to pull that weed up out that grass, out of that dirt. Right? And so that is what you're going to have to do. As soon as those weeds start pulling, start peeking out, you start pulling them out. Start pulling them out. You got negative friends telling you what you can't do, you got to pull them out. And you got to pull them out from the roots so that they don't come back. You got somebody saying something, you can't do something, you're going to have to pull them out from the roots, and you're going to have to throw them away. You're going to have to throw them away. You in an environment where things ain't working for you, you're going to have to pull that out from the roots. You're going to have to pull that out from the roots. And if not, you're going to have to plant yourself in some better soil. Plant yourself in better soil, because the weeds will come back. They will lay dormant. You may have friends who have been your friends all your life. You start growing your business and you start doing things and you start meeting new people and networking and growing and showing up in different places, and you in different places. And what they going to say to you? You changed. You ain't the same person anymore. Who you think you are? You think you better than us? That weed lay dormant because instead of them being happy for you, and instead of them encouraging you to keep on going and keep pushing, and they're so proud of you, instead of them doing that, now That weed that was laying dormant is now showing up. That weed that lay dormant for years is now peeking through your soil. And you know what you gotta do? You are going to have to pull that weed right out from the roots, because it is not going to grow in your garden. It's not going to come back later and grow. You're going to pull that thing up right from the roots, and you're going to have to throw that thing away. You're going to have to throw that thing away because it is not useful. There's some weeds that are pretty. There's some weeds that grow in your garden and they're pretty, but they're damaging your garden. There's some weeds that are pretty that are growing in your garden, but they're damaging your garden. I have some pretty purple weeds that grow out in my garden sometimes. They are such pretty plants. They're so, so pretty. But those are freaking weeds. They gotta go. They gotta go. They're hurting my crops. They're hurting my garden. Your garden is yourself. I can't allow these pretty purple flowers to mess up my garden. You can't allow your pretty little friends to come and mess up what you're establishing. You can't allow them to come in and do that. You can't allow comfortability to come and destroy your crops. You can't allow that. It's gotta go. It's gotta go. It cannot stay. It cannot stay. Even though it's pretty, even though you may like it, it's gotta go. Because it's not going to help you, and it's going to destroy the rest of the crop. It's going to spread into the rest of your garden, and it's going to destroy your crops. And you cannot not allow people to come in and destroy your crops. You worked hard to get where you are. You've been through a lot of stuff to get where you are. There's a lot of things that people wouldn't have thought you made it through that you did. You got a lot of stuff coming with you. And you can't allow just anybody to come in there and mess that up for you. Absolutely. So you cannot allow those weeds to grow up and up and through your garden and destroy everything that you built and destroy everything that you planted in this beautiful garden. You can't allow those weeds to do that. So you're going to have to pull these weeds up out of the roots, from the roots, and throw them away. And throw them away. And I don't mean just snatch them out, because that's not going to work. Again, the roots will still be in the ground. You need to pull those things out. Maybe you might have to dig in there and get that. You may have to dig in there a little deeper, because you pull something out, but you know that there's something still left in there. You're going to have to dig a little deeper. You're going to have to dig a little deeper, and you're going to have to get rid of it, right? Because they cannot stay. They cannot stay. I will no longer be scared to cut the strings from negative people. Absolutely not. That's when you tell them, I sure did change for my good. Absolutely. They can get with the program or unsubscribe from my program. Absolutely. Cousin said, tell the truth. Latrice said, preach. Yes, yes, and yes. It's definitely difficult, but that is something I will be persistent in removing completely. So it has nowhere to thrive and come back. That's right. That's right. That's right. Thank you so much, Patricia. I recognize mine. I recognized mine last few months before the year ended. I've been facing them head on, and it's definitely helping. God has too much in store for me to live with those weeds. Absolutely. Positivity, no matter what. Absolutely, Jamie. Absolutely. Good morning, Jaleesa. Good morning. Yes, 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 everybody, please. And thank you. Hit the like button. Thank you, Jamie. So you're going to have to do that. You cannot allow them to lay dormant. You cannot allow them to grow. You cannot allow that to happen. It has to go. It has to go. You may have outgrown, like I said, you may have outgrown your friend circle. You may have outgrown your garden bed, right? You may have reached your capacity in that garden bed, and you have to get out and get into the open so that you can completely thrive, right? So you may have outgrown, listen to that, you may have outgrown your flower bed, and you're stagnant because you have nowhere else to grow. Your roots can't go anywhere else. You can't go anywhere else. You got to move out of the flower bed into the garden, into the huge garden, so that you have enough room to grow and to flourish and to thrive, right? So that may be you, and it does happen, and you got to roll with it. You got to roll with it, because you're not expected to stay there. If you're a big plant, right? You're not expected to stay in a small pot. You're not expected to stay there. You can't thrive there. Your roots then outgrew everything in that container space. You got to get out. Your roots have to be able to go all over the place. And that may be what's going on in your spirit right now. And it's okay. It's okay. Sometimes you have to move, right? Okay, so the next thing I have, we must be persistent and consistent to weed our garden. And this is from Eric Thomas. People who are consistent and on time surpass people who are talented and gifted. And so I put that there because I wanted to make that analogy. I always do that with my son. And I say, you're talented, but anybody can beat talent if they're working hard, right? So you have to make sure that because somebody else is doing something and somebody else is talented and they may be showing up a little differently in the world, as long as you show up, you still show up in the world, period, right? And this is a little bit off my garden, but not really, right? Because you need to be consistent in doing those things. So as long as you're consistently showing up, you're going to be able to produce results, as long as you're showing up. Yes, yes, and yes. As long as you're showing up, you will be able to produce results. As long as you're willing to put the nutrients into your soil, you will be able to thrive. As long as you're willing to water your soil and your seed, you will be able to thrive. As long as you're able to remove and to weed out everything that's going, all the weeds that are growing in there around your seed. As long as you're consistent in doing that and taking care to do that, you'll be able to grow and thrive. As long as you're pruning your leaves, and you're pruning your leaves mean taking away those bad and those negative things that are pulling that energy out of you, right? You have some negative things that are in you that you got to pull them out of you. Remember, I was saying when I was writing my stuff for my vision board, there was a lot of negative thoughts that were coming with the things that I said that I wanted, which I had to address. I had to do some pruning, right? I had to take those leaves off, because in order for me to thrive and to grow, I cannot be sending energy to those leaves that are now withering and dying. Right? I can't continue to send energy there. I need to cut those off so I can focus on the main goal, the main objective, my plant, you know what I'm saying? I need to focus on that. And as long as I have those leaves that are that need to be pruned, getting the energy and getting the nutrients into those leaves, I am not giving all of the nutrients that I can to my thriving plant. And so my thriving plant is going to start to suffer. So you're going to have to start pruning some things, and some things that come along with you. Again, that may be the self-talk, that may be the self-doubt, that may be all of those things. You got to start pruning in order for that seed, in order for that plant to thrive. Yes, yes, and yes, you guys. Yes, yes, and yes. Yes, yes, and yes. And so now I want to address the mindset, right? Because remember I said you can't think that you want something, but your patterns are inconsistent to what you want, right? You can't think that I have a goal, but you're not doing anything that works consistently towards it, to achieving it, right? You're working in an inconsistent manner. And so you're working against yourself as opposed to working with yourself, right? So you have to make sure that you are consistent in the goals that you say that you want. So Zig Ziglar is another one of my favorites. Zig Ziglar says you cannot consistently perform in a manner which is inconsistent with the way you see yourself. So if you see yourself as a failure, but you want to be successful, you can't produce results from that. You can't produce results from that. You have to see yourself as successful to be successful. You have to start thinking as if these things are already yours, and you have to see yourself in those positions, in these new ventures and these new opportunities. You have to see yourself in that, because if you don't see yourself there, you could never get there, because you can't even see yourself there, which means you have no consistent patterns in order to move in that direction. So you have to start. Okay, see you, cousin. Good morning, Yazzie Faye. You have to start working in a consistent manner in the way that you see yourself. You want to be a successful business owner? Then guess what you got to do? You got to do things that successful business owners do. You want to run your business successfully? Then guess what? You're going to need systems in your business that are going to allow you to run your business successfully. You want to nurture successful relationships with people who are in masterminds and things like that. Then you're going to have to put yourself in those kind of environments. But you're not going to get in those environments if you don't don't feel like you belong there, because even if you do get there, you're going to feel like you don't belong there. And then if you feel like you don't belong there, you're going to find your way out. Right? You're going to do anything that you need to do. Oh, those people just weren't for me. You'll make up any kind of excuse for these people, for the people that are in the mastermind, because you don't feel that you belong in those spaces. So you have to get in those spaces, in those places, and know that you belong there. Yes, yes, and yes. Yes, yes, and yes. I'm almost through my notes, y'all. I'm almost through my notes. All right. So what does that mean for you about your mindset? That means that your mindset is very important. Remember, I said we could talk about all kinds of business stuff, right? We can talk about everything you need in order to be successful in your business. We could talk about everything that you need to be, 6, 7, 8 figures in your business and all these things. We could talk about all those things. But if your mindset is not right, you are not going to be able to thrive. If your soil is not, not right, is not optimum for seeds, nothing is going to grow in that garden. Right? And so we have to make sure that our mindset is in the right place in order for these ideas and these ideas, these businesses, our spirit, ourselves, in order for us to thrive, we have to make sure that our mindset is together. We have to make sure our mindset is working with our goals, right? And if it's not, then that means we have to do some work. If it's not, we have to do some tweaking. If it's not, there's some things that needs to be adjusted. And that's okay. It's okay. Because if you don't know it right now, that's okay. You didn't know it for all your life, and now it's a change, and it's okay for it to be different. It's okay for it to be different, right? But not unattainable, because it is attainable. You just got to change the way you're looking at it. You just have to change the way you're approaching it. You just have to change the way that you feel deserving of it, right? Again, it's not unapproachable. It's just different. It's just different. And so now we have to do what we need to do that inner work on ourselves to get that thing done, to do the outer work that we have to do to get that thing done, to set up the systems that we need to set up to get that thing done. Right? Because if we want to be successful, these things have got to change. You're not going to get success with the same patterns that you did consistently that were not helping you at all. Right? You're not going to achieve success that way. So some things has got to change. Some things have got to change, right? And so what do I have here? Okay, yeah, you're gonna have to remove the weed. You're gonna have to remove the weeds because they're choking out your crops. I got that. And that means, again, that means replenishing what you need in your soil, right? So what do you need? You got to get that stuff out of there. You got to know that you got to put your nutrients in there. You got to water it. You got to weed it. Those are the things. And those are the things that you got to do it yourself. You got to read. You got to try some things. You got to put yourself out there. You got to step outside your comfort zone. These are the things that are going to help you flip the switch on your mindset, because now you have access to seeing that, oh, I can do this. Because you are putting yourself in places and spaces and seeing people who've actually done those things, right? The reason why I put access to everybody, or when I try to come let me take that back. When I put people in your area, it's so that you can see that you have access to this kind of thing. You have access to this kind of success. You have access to this kind of information, whereas you thought maybe you didn't find it before. Right? Nobody was answering your questions before. Nobody was sharing with you before. Nobody was trying to help you before. And you was trying to figure all these things out on your own. The reason why we have this platform is so that you can find like-minded people who are thinking the same thing, who may have been in the same boat, and they have gotten themselves up out of that thing, or they're in the process of changing that thing. And they are seeing themselves in different places and spaces, because now they get to see that they have access to this information. And so they're not out here in the world alone trying to figure out how to be successful, or how to figure out how to do something, how to make something, how to be something, how to use something. You have access to all of those things, right? Yes, yes, and yes. Yes, yes, and yes. You guys put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. And in order for these things to really start to flourish for you, in order for you to see results start to happen for you, you have to decide, you have to decide that you're changing those things that did not serve you. You have to decide that you are going to commit to what you need to do to grow your garden. You have to commit to those things. You have to be consistent in growing your seeds in your garden. You have to be diligent about how you are taking care of your garden. You have to be diligent of how you tend to your garden. Yes, yes, and yes, right? And what I have here is performing a task with thoroughness and effort from start to finish, where one can be counted on to follow through on commitments and responsibilities. Right? You're performing this task with thoroughness. You're being very thorough about what's going on in your garden. Right? I'm walking through my garden. I'm checking to see if there's something that I didn't notice yesterday that's growing in there. I'm checking to see if the bugs is on my leaves right now. I got to get those bugs off my leaves. I got to get these weeds about my garden. I'm thoroughly going out there and I'm checking. Right? And I'm making an effort from the beginning to the end to do this thing. I'm committing my whole gardening season, right? I'm committing to checking my garden to make sure that nothing is growing that is going to hurt my crops or hurt my plants, right? Or my flowers or my fruits or my vegetables. I'm making sure I'm consistently out there. I'm diligent. I'm taking care to tend to my garden, right? And I'm doing that from the beginning to the end. I'm not starting and not finishing, right? I'm starting and I'm working all the way through it, right? I'm working all the way through it. My crops can count on me. My plants can count on me to come in and take out what's bothering them. My crops could take my plants can count on me to come in and to remove something that may be damaging to them, right? They know that I'm coming out there. Trouble's coming up. I got it. I got it. I'm going to take it and I'm going to throw it away. That's how you got to look at yourself, right? You see trouble arising? Let me address it right here, right now. Let me pull it out from the roots because it's not going to grow here. And I'm diligently tending to the garden of the garden of my mind, to the garden of my spirit, to the garden of my business. I'm diligently working on that because I'm not allowing those things to grow and fester in my garden, right? And you're going to follow through with your commitment and your responsibility. My responsibility to my garden is to go out there and pull those weeds out from the roots. Your responsibility to the garden of your business is to go ahead out there and pull those weeds out from the roots, right? And your spirit and yourself and your mental state, all of that is your job to pull out those weeds. Pull out those weeds. You may need some help. Again, you may need to go dig deeper, right? So that may look like a counselor for you. That may look like you need to meditate for you. That may look like some things, right? Some different things that is not physically like you're doing pulling out the weeds, right? You may notice those things and you're going to have to remove them. And you're going to have to do what you need to do to remove them. Good morning, Tanya. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So what I have here is diligence is a combination of hard work and patience. Sometimes we lack patience. So sometimes we don't want to pull out those weeds because we don't have the patience to deal with that person. We don't have the patience to let our business grow. We don't have the patience to learn a new thing. We don't have the patience to deal with new people, right? And so in order for you to be diligent, you have to be patient. You have to be patient and you have to make sure that you're incorporating that hard work because nothing's going to happen without the hard work. The hard work is going to happen, right? So yes, it sucks that I got to go out in my garden. It's 99 degrees outside and I got to go out here in the garden with the sun beaming on me and getting in the garden on my hands and knees and pulling these weeds out and dumping them in the trash because I can't just throw them in my garden. Yes, that's hard work. But at the end result of that is a beautiful garden. The end result of that is a beautiful plant. The end result of that is beautiful fruit that grows off your plant, right? That you can consume and that you could share with other people, right? That is the beauty that comes from your hard work and your patience in your garden. Yes, you had to be patient and hard. You had to do a lot of work and you had to be patient about, because them weeds are hard to pull out. You had to be patient, but the results of all of that ends up in a beautiful garden, right? It ends up your garden is beautiful. Your plant is thriving. You have fruit on your plant. You now can eat that for you in your salad. You now can eat, you can save it and give it to your neighbor because you got extra. You know, you grew so much because you took care of that garden. You can share it with somebody, right? So that's the same thing. You planted that seed and you took care of that garden. You have all this information that you could share with other people that may help somebody else, that may help them plant the seed in their garden, right? That may help them clear out their garden. You have all of this information now that you could share. You have something that you could use that somebody else needs, right? And so that is the importance of being patient in your garden, in your life, in your business. Yes, yes, and yes, you guys. Yes, yes, and yes. And there'll be some setbacks, right? There'll be some setbacks in your garden. In my garden, it I had a rabbit in my garden came and devoured the lower crops. I keep saying crops like I got a big old whole big farm, right? But the lower vegetables, they came and ate everything that was low, right? That devastated my crops, but I mean my plants, but that didn't stop me from growing. That didn't stop me from tending to my garden. I still went out and I tended to my garden. There was a setback that, you know, it did eat my cucumbers. It did eat my greens. It did eat some of my squash. It did eat some of my okra, right? And so I was devastated. Yes, it was a setback for sure, but I still tended to the rest of my garden because the rest of my garden still had to grow. Come on. How many of us have setbacks and we still have to keep moving on because we got children over here looking at us. We got family depending on us. We got people depending on us. This may have happened over here on a lower level, but I still got to take care of my home life. I still got to make sure we have a roof over our head. I still got to make sure we have heat. I still have to make sure these kids got clothes on. Even though this may have taken some things out, it may have taken some things out, but it didn't take everything out. And so I still had to work on the rest of the garden because the rest of the garden was still thriving, even though something came and devastated the lower vegetables, right? Even though something came and took that, I didn't allow that to stop me from taking care of my garden, right? And you cannot allow that in life. It must be the same thing because we life still has to go on. We still have goals. We still have dreams. We still have things that we want to do in our lives, right? And because something may have taken something out, something may have taken something out, we still gotta continue on, right? And so the rabbit came, got my lower crops. Then the deer came in and got the rest of the stuff. Didn't get on one side, got on the other side. The deer came, right? After the bunny came and got whatever it got, not right after, maybe a week or 2 weeks later, here comes the deer. The deer came and got some stuff. The deer came and took out almost everything on one side. Almost everything, right? Sometimes life problems are going to come at you. It's not going to give you a rest. It's not going to give you a rest. But as long as you know that you still going to tend to your garden, even though something may have came and devastated it, I'm still going to water my garden. I'm still going to tend to my garden. I'm still going to weed it. I'm still going to prune it. I'm still going to feed it the nutrients in it. I'm still going to come in here every week and put the Miracle Grow or whatever in the dirt. I'm still going to do that because it still has to grow. I'm still feeding myself and my family from this garden. So it still has to be tended to, even though some things may have come and took some things out, but I still could feed my family with this, right? My family still can thrive with this on this side, right? Life is going to come at you. Life is going to come at you, but you have to commit to yourself and decide that no matter what, I am committed to doing this. No matter what, I'm going to be consistent and show up for myself and for my business and for my family and for everybody everything else. I'm going to be consistent. I am making up my mind. I'm fixing my mindset to know that I have to make sure that I have fertile ground for my seeds to grow. And when the weeds come, I could pull those out. But I know no matter what, no matter if something destroys it, no matter if there's a frost and my vegetables get destroyed because of the frost, no matter what, I'm still committed to tend to my garden, and I'm still committed to make sure that my things grow. Yes, yes, and yes. Yes, yes, and yes. Let me know if you with me. Let me know if you with me. Let me know. And one of the last things I wrote, if you are consistently working in your garden diligently, it's going to pay off in the long run, right? So even though something came and devastated some things, it paid off in the long run. I was still able to eat from the other side. I was still able to grow things and let those things thrive over that side. And I was still able to replace those things that got destroyed on one side. I was still able to put some seeds in the ground, and I was still able to get some stuff out of that. I was still able to salvage some of my tomatoes. I was still able to salvage some of my okra. I was still able to salvage some of those things, right? And all I had to do was, now I had to put up a different kind of barrier, right? Because now I have to approach it differently, right? That doesn't mean I'm quitting. That means I'm approaching it differently. That means that I'm protecting it differently. You have to protect, LaRonda always tell you, protect your peace, right? You have to protect it differently, right? Doesn't mean that I'll quit. It means that I'm doing things differently. That means that I need a higher fence up. That means that my deer net needs to go up higher. That means that I need to put different things in the dirt that are going to deter them from going in there. That means I have to keep them away in certain way. Maybe I have to sprinkle some repel oil around the garden. Maybe I have to put some other stuff around the garden in order for those things not to infiltrate my garden anymore. I didn't quit. I just changed up the way I protected it. Right? You have to protect your garden at all costs. At all costs. Right? These things may have stopped some people, but it didn't stop me. And that's the same thing with you guys. Do not allow the weeds of life to start stopping you from doing what you want to do. How many times are you going to let somebody's words stop you from growing your business? How many times are you going to allow somebody's actions to stop you from doing the thing that you say that you want to do? How many times are you going to allow the children to be the excuse as to why you're not doing the things that you want to do? How many times? And it's not saying that you're neglecting anything or anybody, but there is time that you can find in order for you to invest in yourself. There's always going to be time. It's about priority, right? What time are you going to consistently commit to yourself so that you can work on your business? And if that means work on it a little bit at a time because the kids are little, that's okay. It's okay. Right? But you could still be learning. You could still be growing. You could still be providing nutrients to your soil so that when you are ready to plant that seed has a beautiful environment to live and to thrive. Yes, yes, and yes. Yes, yes, and yes. Let me see. Yep. I got through on my notes. The last thing I said is you are the garden, and you must watch your garden and watch what you allow to grow in your garden, because things will sneak up on you. Things will sneak up on you. Things will take you out from the blind side, right? You may not have even seen something like this coming. You may have not even seen the breakup coming. You may not have seen things coming, and that may have taken somebody else out, but not you. But not you. Right? Because you committed to yourself that I'm going to go on and I'm going to keep on no matter what. I got to keep on no matter what, because I'm not only doing this for me, I'm doing this for my family. Not only am I doing this for me, I'm doing this for my legacy. I'm doing this for my children's children. I'm doing it for this and I'm doing for that. I am doing this for something else. I have a greater reason as to why I'm doing these things, right? God's put something in me and I got to get this thing up out of me. I got to get it up out of me and share this light so I could get more. You know what I'm saying? So I could get more. So I can shine up more. So I can shine more. So I can do the things that I want to do and let everybody can live comfortable, right? Everybody can eat from my garden. Everybody can eat from my garden because I was diligent, I was consistent, I was patient, I did the hard work, I did everything that I needed to do in my garden. I protected it, even though some things came in and destroyed it. I protected it. I put up barriers. How many of us need to put barriers up on the people who we are talking to? How many people we do? How many people we need to put boundaries on? How many people we need to have boundaries for ourselves that we can't allow any and everybody up in our space because any and everybody are not serving you, right? So we've got to set these boundaries. And so no matter what came and try to destroy your crop, the cold weather came, trying to destroy my weather. I mean, trying to destroy my plants and my vegetables. The snow came. We had a snowstorm out of nowhere that came, and all the plants got, devastated. But some things they still thrived. And I still made sure I maintained those things. And I still made sure, okay, I got to pull these things up and I got to start all over again. But that's okay. I could start all over again because I know what I need to do. Next time I'm going to wait until the frost is really over. Next time I'm going to wait until we definitely won't get snow before I start putting my seeds and my seedlings in the ground. Right? Maybe now I'm going to do something different. But my garden now, after all of the devastation and after everything that came to destroy it, my garden is beautiful because I stood there and I did what I needed to do. I consistently took care of this garden so that I can continue to feed somebody else, that I continue so it looks beautiful. So it continued to thrive, right? And continue to reproduce. Right? And so that is all that I have to say for today. I want you to consistently weed your garden, whatever that looks like for you. Whatever that looks like for you. So how did you guys feel about the live? I think I'm gonna be talking about my garden until it's garden season. And when it's garden season, it's over because I'll be in the garden showing y'all stuff, showing my examples through the garden, right? And I'm actually expanding my garden. So I want my garden to be I think I'm going to take up the whole side of the driveway. That's crazy, but that's where everything thrives over there. I would rather it be on the side of the house, but excuse me, all of the trees are there and it's not good for growing anything. And so I'm going to extend my garden. So I'll definitely have some more stuff for y'all. And how my cucumbers and my tomatoes, how they started outgrowing their space, and I had to build a what do you call those? Not a lattice, right? Not a, no, that's the lattice, but the arch. I had to do that so that they can grow over. So this year I'm going to be doing that because my cucumbers were growing. Oh my gosh, I was taking string, trying to take string from one side of the garden to the other side so I could like train it to go along the string. Oh my goodness, but they were thriving. They was thriving. The year before I didn't have cucumbers. So the year before I could not get cucumbers no matter what I did. But this year, cucumbers were thriving. Well, last year they were thriving. I said boundaries. I had to, yes, because people do not respect when you like, I gotta stop this. They don't respect it. You gotta make sure that they respect your boundaries. It has to be, right? I'm ready for my own garden. Okay. I done talked up the garden, right? Everybody needs to start a garden. Everybody really should. Even if you start it in your house, you can. There's hydroponics. There's I know my friend. He's a young man. He's young. He's younger than my son. So his name is Donovan, and he grows in the house. He grows lettuce, watermelon, strawberries, carrots in the house. So you can grow in your house. You can grow outside your window. You can grow in the home itself. You can grow anywhere. You got a little space, grow something. You could grow on your counters, You can grow some stuff. You can grow some stuff. So how did you guys feel about today, y'all? How did you feel about today? What are you taking away from today? Container gardens. Absolutely. Absolutely. What are you guys taking away from today? And again, you guys, make sure that you hit the thumbs up button. Make sure that you guys, if you are watching the replay, If you're watching the replay, make sure that you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you know when my next videos are coming up. And know that I'm here every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am here with Coffee with Nikki, your daily cup of information and inspiration. Sorry, I had to write something down. All right, so how did you guys feel about today's live? Yes, yes, and yes, it was gone. It was gone. I want to grow aloe plants. Today was on point, Nikki. Thank you and blessings. I want to grow aloe too, but you know what I did? My aloe was growing and I killed it because I left it outside. Because my friend said, "Oh, aloe grows everywhere." Da, 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 da. And I left it outside, and the cold got to it, and it just was just like withered, and it never came back. Never ever came back. So. That's my aloe plant. You can grow your aloe plants in your house too. My aunt has a crazy big aloe plant growing in her house. That thing is huge. I wanted to grow aloe so I could use it in products. And I want to grow calendula, lavender. I tried lavender, it didn't thrive. And just regular herbs that I could infuse into my products, into my oils. So you guys can do that inside. You can do that inside. You don't have to worry about having a garden. Being consistent, changing your mindset, and reset when you need to. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. So, everybody, thank you all for spending your time with me. I appreciate you as always. I hope you got some value from this. I hope you are inspired. I hope you are do not have any guilt on when you have to let things go, or when you have to do certain things, or you have to move certain places, or you have to move differently, or you have to protect things differently, or things change. I hope you don't feel a certain type of way when these things happen, and just know that some of these things are necessary and required. Matter of fact, not some of them, they are. They're absolutely necessary. It's necessary for you to weed your garden. Absolutely. It's necessary for you to replenish your garden, you replenish the nutrients that the weeds have stolen from your garden. Is absolutely necessary. It's absolutely necessary for you to water your seed. It's absolutely necessary that you plant it in an optimal environment. Absolutely necessary. It's absolutely necessary that you plant it around companion plants that are going to help it thrive. That means putting yourself in situations around people that are like-minded, that are going to help you thrive and to grow, that are not there that's trying to hurt you or trying to pull you back like a crabs in a barrel mentality, right? Not that. That's not where you need to be. Make sure that you are planting yourself next to companion plants, plants that are going to help you thrive, right? You got to make sure that you're doing that. Make sure that you're pruning your plant. Make sure that you're pruning your leaves, things that may be draining you and may be depleting you of your nutrients. You may have to cut those things off, right? You have to cut those things off in order for the rest of you to grow and to thrive. Yes, yes, and yes, everybody. Embrace your blessings, perseverance. Go hard for yourself. Weed out the negativity and reset. Yes, put in the work. Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank everybody. Thank you all for joining me today. I appreciate you guys, and I want you guys to have an amazing Wednesday. I want you to have an amazing week, and I want you guys to remember to be consistent. Consistently show up for yourself, because nobody is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. Yes, yes, and yes. All right, everybody. Thank you. See y'all tomorrow. Yeah.